Welcome to Support Life, a program focusing on current social issues from a life-affirming perspective. I'm Gavin Baulch and my guest is Imam Wadood Janud of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association of Victoria. Welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Imam Janud.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, you've spent a little bit of time in Adelaide.
Not a little bit of time. I grew up in Adelaide, in the hills of Adelaide, in the south.
Yes.
Beautiful part of Australia, I would say.
Okay.
Yes.
And your folks came from Pakistan?
Yes, my parents migrated from Pakistan. I was in grade 4 when we came here, and since then it's been a pleasure calling this part of the world my home.
Good. And grade or year 12 had an interesting change in your life. What happened there?
Yes, in grade 12, I decided that I wanted to pursue something completely different. And I still remember talking to my counselor, and he said that when he found out that I wanted to be an imam, he said in the past 25 years of counseling, you're the first child who's walked through that door who said he wants to be an imam. Mm-hmm. So that took me to Canada, where I studied at the Islamic Institute of Theology and Comparative Religions for over 7 years. It's a 7-year program.
Yes. And in that you would have done language studies?
Yes, it's a 7-year program in which you study Arabic thoroughly, you study Persian, and of course Urdu as well.
Okay. Yeah. So with some understanding of language and English, of course, thrown in there.
Yes, of course.
And curries under your belt. You took the easy way out with food in Canada, didn't you?
Yes, I mean, I grew up in Australia, so I would say my favorite cuisine would be Italian. I like my pastas, I love my cheese, I love my lasagnas. Pizza's always good as well. But, I realized the significance of having a mom around and having that wonderful food cooked from that part of the world. I realized that when I was in Canada for 7 years, where unfortunately I had to survive on whatever I could come up with.
Like pizzas.
Like pizzas and pastas and so on, yes.
Okay. All right. So you're here in Australia and you're in the Frankston area.
Yes. Our mosque, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association Mosque, Masjid Baitul Salam, which is in Arabic, which translates to the House of Peace Mosque. It's based in Langwarrin, Frankston. Again, a beautiful part of Victoria, right close to the bay.
All right. Now, what sets your place of worship apart as far as the theology in Islam goes?
Well, our place of worship is the same as any mosque. It faces the Kaaba in Arabia. We worship the same way, we pray the same way 5 times a day. Friday, we have the same congregational prayer and the sermon. What sets the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association apart from other sects of Islam is that we believe that the Imam of the time, the promised Messiah, the Mahdi, who's prophesied not only within the sects of Islam, not only within the fold of Islam, but also in amongst other religions, Christianity and Judaism, to name a few. We believe that person, that promised Messiah, he has come. We are followers, we are believers in him. That's pretty much the only difference that sets us apart from other Muslims. Other being that we believe in a Khilafat, in a spiritual leadership which governs over this community, and that is the supreme head of the supreme spiritual head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association worldwide, Mirza Masroor Ahmad from London.
And he's residing in London?
Yes, he's residing in London. Originally, we were based from Pakistan, India, but due to the persecution that we face in most Muslim countries around the world, our mission was moved from Pakistan to London in the mid-1980s.
Yes. So persecution is an experience, part of your a suitcase of life's experience.
Yes, it is, and it's something that my father experienced. It's something that up to an extent I experienced whilst, I was studying in grade 3, grade 4 in Pakistan. My father had near-death experiences due to persecution. He was in fact nearly murdered within the court systems of Pakistan. So that being the main reason that we migrated to Australia, yes. And now we call this our only homeland.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now your phraseology to let us all know that this land where you now reside, Australia, is very precious to you. What's the saying that comes out of your teaching?
Well, Islam teaches that hubbul watn min al-iman, which translates to that love of your homeland, or the homeland that you reside in, is a part of your faith. So, my love for this country, and not only mine, but all of Ahmadi Muslims who are residing in Australia, who call this country their home, it's twofold. It comes from two places. Just being this in this part of the world. I've traveled the world extensively, and honestly, there's no place like Australia, in every single way or form. And, they love this country for the country that it is, for the people that are in this country, for its landscape, for everything good that this country stands for. And their second connection, or second part of that love for this country, comes from their faith, which teaches them that love of your country is a part of your faith. So, their love or their attachment to this country is twofold.
And part of the Australia celebrations you did?
Yes, we were, I would say we were the largest Muslim community who were present in Melbourne City for the parade. We had over 100 people, 100 guys who were out there with various floats, banners, flags. We made special shirts, saying Australia and love for all, hatred for none, and various other things. So we took part in that parade, and after that we had 2 huge stalls where we had free barbecue and drinks, and a lot of people came and they appreciated, where they actually said that this is extremely encouraging seeing Muslims celebrating Australia Day like this. And then the week after, the Saturday after, we had a formal dinner reception at the mosque where various consul generals of different embassies around the world, they attended, as well as various MPs, mayors, the assistant commissioner of police. So again, we show, we not only proclaim, but we show that love for this country through our actions.
Well, thank you for that, and we'll be back in a moment.
No worries.
You're watching Support Life, and yes, we will be back after the break. Welcome back to Support Life. I'm Gavin Baulch, and my guest is Imam Janud of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association of Victoria. Now, we looked at a little bit of your early life, but here we are in Victoria, loving land, down near the great area of Frankston. Yes. Nice coastal, friendly place.
Beautiful, beautiful place.
It is indeed.
Yes.
So let's look at some smaller issues, big in some people's eyes. Let's take women and the issue that's currently before us, which is easy access to abortion. Where does your understanding of the Quran and the preciousness of life, what do you say to young women and mothers?
Well, Islam's or the Holy Quran's stand on abortion, it's quite clear, to be honest. And abortion within Islam, it's only allowed in very controlled certain circumstances. That being, I'll just give 2 examples. For example, if a woman is raped, and of course, naturally she would not like to live with such a child, which would remind her of that atrocity. So in that circumstance, Islam does allow a woman to abort that child. Secondly being, Islam presents the principle that the lesser can be sacrificed for the greater. So if a mother's life is in danger, a mother who may have other children to take care of, a mother who has a husband, a mother who has relatives. So in that case where her life is in danger, she's allowed to abort that child. But other than these two or very specific examples, Islam does not allow abortion. It does not allow women to abort their child at any cost. Mm-hmm. And Islam's very clear. The Holy Quran's very clear. The Holy Quran says that do not kill your progeny, which is due to be born, out of fear of anything such as even poverty, because it is God who provides, and He shall take care of those children.
Yes. Now, there's a period of time that an abortion can take place. What is that period of time?
Within Islam, it's encouraged that if you do fall into those special circumstances, then the child should be aborted at the earliest possible time. It's not that a woman should wait perhaps 8.5 months to abort the child. It should happen at the earliest, most possible time, which is within the first 3 months.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
No worries.
Sometimes in Victoria, once a year, there's a march for the babies, and that is supporting life and supporting the continuation of that prodigy. And many folks come together for that march, very peaceful, lots of balloons and baby strollers and young kids. If you knew about that, would you encourage and support maybe some of your folks to march?
You see, it's completely their decision. It's not something that I would stop them from. If any Ahmadi Muslim wants to go out and voice his opinion on this, that abortion laws, they should be controlled, how abortion should be allowed only in controlled certain circumstances. If an Ahmadi Muslim wants to do that, it's I would not stand there and stop him from doing so.
Well, thank you for that comment.
No worries.
You have a brother and a sister?
Yes, I have a younger brother who I must say in my childhood I wasn't too fond of, but I think all brothers are like that. And I have an older sister. My younger brother, he recently finished his bachelor's in health sciences, and my sister, who in fact was a dental technician, she worked as a dental technician, but all of a sudden she did not like that field, and she recently completed her master's in architecture. So a complete U-turn.
Well, you do have to extract money from clients with your piece of architecture, your proposal that goes in. Has she worked on any major projects?
Right now, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. She has. However, she wants to devote her time free of any cost or anything to the community, to the local community, in regards to building projects that we have all around the world. Within the Ahmadi Muslim Association, we have a sub-humanitarian organization. It's called Humanity First. And they take up a lot of projects in Africa and other third world countries in regards to building hospitals and schools.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And are some of those hospitals dedicated for women and the issues around childbearing? They're not dedicated to women, they're dedicated to serving humanity, yes, as the organization is Humanity First. Yes. And I've had the pleasure of, seeing this firsthand as I worked as an imam and also a humanitarian worker in Western Africa, Liberia. This was only just over a year ago. And, these services, they're provided free of cost, regardless of your background and your religion, to anyone and everyone. Again, going with what the organization stands for, and that's Humanity First. Yes. And so this is a real strong emphasis on your sect of Islam to care for and reach out to humanity as a whole.
Of course, people don't realize this, but within Islam, there are two types of worship. One is your rights of God. That's your ritualistic worship. We pray 5 times a day. We fast. Another form of worship, which in fact comes before the first form of worship, is serving or fulfilling the rights of human being or rights of creation. And we in fact lead the way in serving humanity, because you cannot claim or you cannot declare your love for God without serving His creation. That's like saying that a person, he loves an artist but he hates his masterpiece. Yes. It does not go together.
Yes. Thank you for that concluding comment. You're watching Support Life, and we'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Support Life. I'm Gavin Baulch, and my guest is Imam Janud of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association of Victoria. Now, you meet down in the southern suburbs, near Frankston.
Yes.
What's the name of your place of worship?
It's called Masjid Baitus Salam. It's in Arabic, which translates to Mosque, House of Peace.
Okay, so let's expand on that a little bit. Okay, so you're doing work overseas, building hospitals for humanity.
Of course.
Okay, which is more powerful, the sword or the word?
You see, you may have heard the old saying that you can conquer lands with swords, but you cannot conquer hearts with swords. That's only done through your words and actions. And in the Muslim Association worldwide, we believe in the original teachings of Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We believe that we represent the true teachings of Holy Prophet and the Holy Quran. With that being said, our motto, it's what we stand for. It sums up in the sentence that love for all and hatred for none. And I saw this firsthand whilst I was in Africa. And as we were talking earlier about Humanity First, our organization, regardless of faith, regardless of people, regardless of background, this organization, its workers, they're working, day and night in Africa, in parts of the world where other organizations pulled out when Ebola broke out. But we were one of the very few organizations, who stayed there. Our doctors, who are life devotees, they've studied and they devote their lives for the cause of serving humanity. And they're living in parts of the world where there's no electricity, there's no running water, there's no sewage. They're only living there just so that they can serve humanity in our hospitals and schools and universities that we've built all across Africa. Okay.
Now, you spent how long in Liberia, was it?
I spent 6 months there.
6 months.
6 eye-opening months. Yes.
Okay. So you come back to Australia, and what does that inspire you to do?
First thing I would say is that we take things for granted. Living in this part of the world, we are not grateful. I always tell this to our youth at the mosque and also generally, everyone, that we take things for granted easily. We should be more grateful for, we should be grateful to God for bringing us to this part of the world, this beautiful part of the world. We should be grateful for what we have. For I saw people, in poverty, which is beyond imagination, living in such conditions which we cannot even perceive, living in this part of the world. So taking things for granted and being thankful. These are 2 lessons that I teach all youth and people at our mosque.
Okay. Now you have quite an orderly manner of working with your different age groups.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So Ahmadiyya Muslim Association worldwide, this is not only specific to Australia, it's worldwide. They're very unique. One of the reasons is because of how strong administratively they're established. And the head of the administration is, of course, His Holiness, the Supreme Head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association worldwide, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. Then underneath him, each country, there are different auxiliaries within the community. For example, the women, they would have their own auxiliary, they have their own president, they have their own executive council. Then the youth, aged between 7 to 15, they have their own head, they have their own executive council. Youth, or I would say men between the ages of 15 and 40, they have their own president, their own separate auxiliary, they have their own executive council. And then on top of this, you have the president, the national president, the imams, who channel, what they have to say, education, awareness through these 3 different or 4 different auxiliaries and different organizations within the same organization. So administratively, very well established and extremely sound. And through this, our education or awareness, both religious education and secular education, getting the message across, it becomes a lot easier.
Okay, so with your particular understanding of the Quran, family values very high?
Of course, not only our particular understanding of the Quran, but within Islam, and I would say in most religions, also within Judaism and Christianity, all Abrahamic religions, family values are extremely strong. Staying together, it's extremely encouraged, it's promoted. Again and again, I deliver sermons, give lectures on the importance of family values, importance of being parents, your responsibility as being children, your responsibility towards your parents. So, even the head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association worldwide, His Holiness, time and again in his sermons, which are broadcasted live every Friday throughout the world, he pays a lot of attention and emphasis towards family values, towards being together, towards parents, and as well as responsibilities of being children.
All right. So help me understand, how does female circumcision creep into some understanding of the ways Islam might operate in some parts of the world?
You see, it's unfortunate that such an atrocity has been related to Islam when it has no part in Islam whatsoever. In fact, such a practice, it's only found in very few countries, and they're North African countries. You won't find such a practice, in Middle East or amongst other Muslim countries. So this has a cultural background to it, not a religious background to it at all. And it's unfortunate that in this world that we live in, it's been associated with Islam when it has no roots in Islam whatsoever.
I thank you so much for your time and going as broad and deep as you have.
Thank you, Gavin. It's a pleasure being here, always.
You have been watching Support Life, and that's all for our program today. Join us again next week. Goodbye.